The Beast has fallen. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed brutally attack the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar. This is blasphemy. This is unthinkable. The supposedly invincible Brock Lesnar, the man who has dominated WWE for over 2 decades, the Beast Incarnate himself, just got destroyed by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in the most disrespectful, most devastating attack in modern wrestling history. And if you're not absolutely outraged that these two upstarts had the audacity to put their hands on a living legend, then you need to check your pulse, because this is the most shocking thing to happen in WWE since the streak ended at WrestleMania. Comment right now if you think Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed just made the biggest mistake of their careers, because what I'm about to break down will show you exactly why the Beast Incarnate is going to make both of these men regret the day they were born. The disrespect, the arrogance, the sheer nerve of these two thinking they could take down Brock Lesnar and walk away unscathed is mind-boggling, and the fallout from this attack is going to reshape the entire WWE landscape. Let me paint the picture of what went down, because the context makes this attack even more infuriating. Brock Lesnar was backstage, minding his own business after a segment where he'd cut a promo about being the most dominant force in WWE history. Classic Brock stuff, intimidating, confident, reminding everyone why he's called the Beast. He was walking through the backstage area, heading toward his locker room, when suddenly the lights flickered and went out. When the lights came back on seconds later, Braun Breaker was standing directly in front of Brock, blocking his path. And behind Lesnar? Bronson Reed, cutting off any escape route. The Predators had become the praise hunters, and Brock Lesnar found himself in the middle of an ambush orchestrated by two of the most physically imposing superstars in WWE today. Now, if you know anything about Brock Lesnar, you know he doesn't intimidate easily. This is a former UFC heavyweight champion we're talking about. A man who has conquered everyone from The Undertaker to John Cena to Roman Reigns. A legitimate fighter with credentials that would make most professional athletes jealous. So when Breaker and Reed surrounded him, Brock's initial reaction wasn't fear, it was anger. Here's a trivia question for the real fans: how many WrestleMania main events has Brock Lesnar competed in? Drop your answer in the comments below. Brock immediately got into a fighting stance, ready to throw hands with both men simultaneously. And for a brief moment, it looked like the Beast might actually fight his way out of this ambush. He lunged at Breaker first, knowing that taking out the faster, more agile threat would be the smart tactical move. But that's exactly what Breaker and Reed were counting on. The instant Brock committed to attacking Breaker, Bronson Reed struck from behind like a freight train, a massive clothesline to the back of Brock's head that sent the Beast stumbling forward. Before Brock could recover, Breaker hit him with a spear that would make Goldberg jealous, all 240 pounds of pure muscle and athleticism driving into Brock's midsection with devastating force. Lesnar went down. The Beast Incarnate, the man who has been portrayed as damn near invincible for years, crumpled to the floor from the combined assault. And that's when things went from bad to catastrophic for Brock. Reed and Breaker didn't just want to knock Brock down, they wanted to destroy him. They wanted to send a message to the entire WWE roster that a new generation is taking over and the old guard, no matter how legendary, is going to be torn down violently and without mercy. What followed was a systematic beatdown that was uncomfortable to watch even for hardened wrestling fans. Bronson Reed, all 330 pounds of him, started delivering brutal stomps to Brock's body. Each stomp targeted a different area: the ribs, the back, the legs, the shoulders. Reed was methodically breaking down the Beast's body piece by piece while Breaker held back, watching and waiting for his moment to inflict maximum damage. Brock tried to fight back. He tried to get to his feet. He even managed to grab Reed's leg and attempt a takedown. But before he could capitalize, Breaker delivered a vicious kick to Brock's head that left him dazed and vulnerable. That's when Reed climbed onto a nearby equipment case, positioning himself above the fallen Beast. The tsunami splash that followed will be talked about for years. Reed launched his entire 330-pound frame from that equipment case, crashing down onto Brock Lesnar with such force that you could hear the impact echo through the entire backstage area. The sound of Brock's ribs compressing, potentially cracking, was sickening. The way his body convulsed from the impact was disturbing. And the expression of pure agony on the Beast's face was something we've never seen from Brock Lesnar in his entire career. Drop a comment and tell me, is this the most dominant beatdown anyone has ever delivered to Brock Lesnar? Can you think of anything that compares to this level of destruction against the Beast? But Reed and Breaker weren't done. Not even close to done. While Brock lay there, gasping for air, trying to recover from having the wind knocked out of him, Breaker grabbed him and hoisted him up for a gorilla press slam. Now, think about that for a second. Brock Lesnar weighs approximately 290 pounds of solid muscle. The fact that Braun Breaker could lift him overhead like he was nothing is a testament to just how freakishly strong this young superstar is. Breaker held Brock overhead for what felt like an eternity, making sure every single person backstage could see the Beast helpless and at his mercy. Then he launched Lesnar across the hallway, sending him crashing into production equipment, shattering cases, destroying monitors, leaving a path of destruction in Brock's wake. Lesnar tried to crawl away. The Beast Incarnate, the man who never backs down from anyone, was trying to escape from Breakker and Reed. Let that image sink in for a moment. Brock Lesnar, on his hands and knees, leaving a trail of blood from a gash that had opened on his forehead, desperately trying to get away from his attackers like a wounded animal. Reed stalked after him slowly, savoring every moment of Brock's suffering. When Reed caught up to him, he grabbed Brock by the back of his head and drove his face into a concrete wall. Once, twice, 3 times. Each impact left a smear of blood on the wall. Each impact left Brock more dazed and defenseless. Each impact was another nail in the coffin of the Beast's mystique and invincibility. WWE officials were scrambling to get security involved, but here's the thing, Breakker and Reed had planned this perfectly. They'd positioned their attack in a section of the backstage area that was poorly monitored, with minimal security presence, and they timed it during a commercial break when most personnel were distracted with other responsibilities. By the time help arrived, the damage was already done. Breakker grabbed Brock one more time, lifting him up for his devastating finisher. The standing power slam that Breakker calls his own was delivered with vicious intent, spiking Brock's head and neck into the concrete floor. The sound was nauseating. The way Brock's body went completely limp afterward was terrifying. And the satisfied smirk on Breakker's face as he stood over the fallen beast told everyone watching that this wasn't just business, this was personal. Quick question for engagement, who do you think is a bigger threat to the WWE main event scene going forward, Bron Breakker or Bronson Reed? Let me know your pick in the comments. Medical personnel finally arrived and immediately called for a stretcher. Brock Lesnar, the man who has never needed medical attention after an attack in his entire WWE career, was being loaded onto a stretcher and wheeled out of the arena. His eyes were barely open. Blood covered his face and chest. His breathing was labored and shallow. This wasn't selling, this was a man who had taken legitimate damage from an assault that went way too far. The WWE Universe's reaction has been split right down the middle, and that's what makes this situation so fascinating and infuriating at the same time. One faction is absolutely livid that Breakker and Reed would disrespect a legend like this, that they would violently attack someone who has carried WWE on his back for years, that they would try to end the Beast's career in such a cowardly, dishonorable way. The other faction is celebrating this attack as the changing of the guard, the new generation forcibly taking what they believe is rightfully theirs, the end of the part-timer era where guys like Brock waltz into WWE whenever they feel like it and take spots from full-time performers who grind every single week. Both perspectives have merit, which is why this storyline is generating so much heat and so much discussion. Brock Lesnar is a legend who deserves respect for everything he's accomplished. But Brock is also someone who has benefited from special treatment, who takes opportunities away from younger talent, who shows up sporadically and immediately gets pushed to the top of the card regardless of who's been working hard in his absence. Breakker and Reed clearly represent the frustration that many young wrestlers feel about the system. They're tired of waiting for their opportunity. They're tired of being told to pay their dues while legends get shortcuts. They're tired of being the future when they believe they're ready to be the present. And they made that crystal clear by putting the Beast on a stretcher. But here's where it gets really interesting, the political fallout from this attack is going to be massive. Brock Lesnar isn't just a wrestler, he's a box office draw, a legitimate star with mainstream recognition, and someone with significant backstage power due to his relationship with management. When you attack Brock, you're not just attacking a performer, you're attacking WWE's bottom line and their confidence in their booking strategy. There are already reports that WWE management is furious with how this attack was executed. Some executives believe it went too far and made Brock look weak, which could hurt his drawing power going forward. Others believe it was exactly what the product needed, a shocking moment that generates buzz and makes people tune in to see what happens next. The internal debate at WWE headquarters is apparently intense and heated. Tell me your take, did this attack make Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed look like credible main eventers, or did it just make them look like cowards who could only take down Brock with a sneak attack? Drop your honest opinion below. Let's talk about the symbolism of this attack for a moment, because it's loaded with meaning. Bron Breakker is Rick Steiner's son and Scott Steiner's nephew, legitimate wrestling royalty. He represents the next generation of wrestlers who grew up in the business, who have pedigrees and potential, who are supposed to be the natural evolution of WWE's star system. Breakker attacking Brock is symbolic of the new bloodline forcibly taking power from the established order. Bronson Reed represents something different but equally important, the international talent, the indie darlings who paid their dues around the world, who had to scratch and claw for every opportunity in WWE. Reed's journey from the independent scene to WWE to NXT and finally to the main roster mirrors the path that so many modern wrestlers have to take. Him attacking Brock symbolizes the global wrestling community declaring that they're just as valuable, just as dangerous, just as worthy as the homegrown WWE superstars. Together, Breakker and Reed represent a unified front of younger talent from different backgrounds coming together to tear down the old guard. The message is clear, it doesn't matter if you're Brock Lesnar, It doesn't matter how many championships you've won, it doesn't matter what you've accomplished, if you're standing in the way of the next generation's ascension, you will be moved, violently if necessary. The question now becomes, how does Brock Lesnar respond to this? Because make no mistake, the Beast will respond. This isn't the kind of disrespect that someone like Brock just lets slide. We're talking about a man whose entire character is built around dominance, invincibility, and striking fear into the hearts of anyone who crosses him. Breakker and Reed just crossed him in the most public, most humiliating way possible. When Brock recovers from his injuries, and he will recover because the Beast always comes back, the hunt will begin. And when Brock Lesnar is hunting you, when he has a legitimate reason to want to tear you apart, when his pride and his legacy have been wounded, he becomes 10 times more dangerous than he normally is. Breakker and Reed might think they've made a statement, but what they've actually done is paint giant targets on their backs. The promos that Brock cuts when he returns are going to be legendary. Can you imagine the intensity, the fury, the barely controlled rage when Brock gets a microphone and addresses what Breakker and Reed did to him? We're going to see a side of Brock Lesnar that we haven't seen before, not just the cocky, confident Beast, but a Beast that's been wounded, humiliated, and motivated by pure vengeance. Here's a fun question for longtime fans: what's your favorite Brock Lesnar feud of all time? CM Punk? Roman Reigns? The Undertaker? Drop your answer and let's see what the wrestling newsletter community thinks. The matches that will eventually happen between Brock and his attackers are going to be brutal. This isn't going to be technical wrestling showcases. This isn't going to be high-flying entertainment. This is going to be violence. This is going to be three men trying to legitimately hurt each other in ways that blur the line between performance and reality. WWE is going to make so much money off the pay-per-view events featuring these confrontations. But there's also a darker possibility that nobody's talking about yet. What if Brock can't come back from this? What if the injuries he sustained in this attack are career-threatening? Brock isn't a young man anymore. He's in his 40s. He's had a long career with a lot of physical wear and tear. The human body can only take so much punishment before something breaks permanently. If this attack legitimately forced Brock Lesnar into retirement, the ramifications would be seismic. It would make Breakker and Reed instantly, but it would also create a massive void in WWE's main event scene. Love him or hate him, Brock is a proven draw, a reliable big match performer, and someone who adds credibility to any program he's involved in. Losing him would hurt WWE's business in the short term, even if it benefits younger talent in the long term. The fan speculation online has been insane since this attack happened. Wrestling Twitter is on fire with debates, arguments, hot takes, and fantasy booking scenarios. Some fans are already planning dream matches between Brock and Breakker or Brock and Reed at WrestleMania. Others are suggesting that this attack is setting up a three-way feud that will dominate WWE programming for the next year. There's even a faction of fans who think this entire situation is a work designed to write Brock off television so he can take time off and then return at a premium live event with maximum impact. And honestly, that's entirely possible. WWE has used injuries from attacks as a storytelling device for decades. But the brutality of this particular attack felt real in a way that worked angles usually don't. Let me get your take on the conspiracy angle. Do you think this attack was sanctioned by WWE Creative, or do you think Breakker and Reed went into business for themselves? Sound off below. The psychological warfare aspect of this attack cannot be overstated. Breakker and Reed didn't just hurt Brock physically, they hurt him mentally. They shattered the aura of invincibility that Brock has carefully cultivated for years. They proved that the Beast can be hunted, can be hurt, can be left lying in his own blood by younger, hungrier competitors. Every single WWE superstar saw what happened. Every single wrestler in that locker room now knows that Brock Lesnar isn't as untouchable as they thought. The mystique has been damaged, possibly irreparably. And while Brock will undoubtedly seek revenge, the damage to his reputation has already been done. You can't unsee the Beast crawling away, trying to escape, getting stretchered out like a defeated warrior. For Breakker and Reed, the psychological boost is enormous. They faced the most intimidating, most dangerous competitor in WWE history and they destroyed him. That kind of confidence, that kind of validation, that kind of statement victory, even if it was a sneak attack, elevates both men instantly. They went from being prospects and future stars to legitimate threats overnight. The backstage reaction to this attack has been fascinatingly complex. Veteran wrestlers are reportedly divided. Some applaud Breakker and Reed for their aggression and their willingness to take what they want rather than wait for it to be given to them. These veterans remember a time when wrestling was more cutthroat, more competitive, more dog-eat-dog, and they view this attack as a return to those principles. Other veterans are disgusted by what they perceive as disrespect to a legend who has earned the right to be treated better. They view the attack as cheap, cowardly, and indicative of a younger generation that doesn't understand the importance of tradition, hierarchy, and paying respect to those who paved the way for them. The younger roster members are almost universally supportive of Breakker and Reed, seeing them as heroes who finally did what needed to be done, prove that the new generation is ready to take over and won't be held back by nostalgia or corporate favoritism toward established stars. Drop your comment, are you Team Brock, Team Breakker/Reed, or do you think everyone involved is in the wrong here? I want to see where the wrestling newsletter community stands. The business implications of this attack are staggering when you really think about it. If Breakker and Reed are truly being positioned as the next generation of top stars, WWE is making a calculated risk. They're betting that these two can draw money, sell tickets, and move merchandise at the same level Brock has for years. That's a massive bet considering neither man has main event WrestleMania or carried a company as the face of the brand. But if the bet pays off? If Breakker and Reed become legitimate draws because of this angle? Then WWE has successfully transitioned from the part-timer era to a new era of full-time stars who can anchor the company year-round. That would be incredibly valuable for their long-term business health and their ability to consistently deliver quality programming. The merchandise opportunities alone are exciting. Imagine the Beast has fallen t-shirts. Imagine Breakker and Reed standing over Brock's body as poster art for pay-per-view events. Imagine the video packages hyping their eventual confrontations. This attack has given WWE months worth of compelling content and multiple revenue streams if they book the follow-up correctly. Speaking of booking the follow-up correctly, WWE has some critical decisions to make. Do they book Brock's revenge as swift and definitive, re-establishing the Beast's dominance? Or do they book a long, drawn-out war where Breakker and Reed continue to gain momentum and credibility even if they eventually lose? Do they split up Breakker and Reed after Brock starts picking them off one by one, or do they keep them united as an unstoppable force? The wrong decision could derail everyone involved. The right decision could create multiple new main event stars and give WWE the kind of mainstream buzz they haven't had in years. The pressure on whoever's making these creative decisions must be immense right now. One more trivia question before we start wrapping up. How many times has Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble match in his career? Show me you know your Beast Incarnate history. The fan art, memes, and social media content that has emerged from this attack has been incredible. The image of Brock Lesnar face down on the concrete with Breakker and Reed standing over him has already become iconic. It's being shared across every social media platform. It's being analyzed frame by frame. It's being turned into memes, GIFs, and video compilations. This is exactly what WWE needs in the modern era, moments that transcend wrestling fandom and become part of the broader pop culture conversation. When non-wrestling fans are seeing clips of this attack and going, holy crap, what happened to that guy? WWE has succeeded in creating something truly memorable. The commentary team's reaction during the immediate aftermath of the attack was perfect. You could hear the genuine shock and concern in their voices. They sold this as a legitimate crisis, not just another wrestling angle. That kind of presentation is crucial for making moments feel important and getting fans emotionally invested. Michael Cole's voice cracking as he said the Beast has fallen will be replayed in video packages for years. That's the kind of commentary that elevates a moment from good to legendary. Credit where it's due, the announce team understood the assignment and delivered. As we approach the end here, I want to address something important. Regardless of how you feel about Brock Lesnar as a performer or a person, regardless of whether you think he deserves this or not, you have to respect the storytelling potential of what just happened. WWE has created genuine uncertainty, genuine emotion, and genuine investment in what happens next. When's the last time you genuinely didn't know where a WWE storyline was going? When's the last time you were sitting on the edge of your seat wondering how someone would respond to an attack? When's the last time WWE made you feel something this intensely? That's rare in modern wrestling, and it should be appreciated even if you disagree with how they got there. Final question for maximum engagement: if you could book Brock Lesnar's revenge, how would you do it? Interference in Breakker's title match? Attacking them during a celebration? One-on-one demolition matches? Tell me your fantasy booking in the comments. The Beast has fallen, but he will rise again. And when he does, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed better be prepared for the kind of suffering that only Brock Lesnar can inflict. This is just the beginning of what promises to be the most brutal, most personal, most unmissable feud in WWE today. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments about every aspect of this situation. Tell me if Breakker and Reed are heroes or cowards. Let me know if you think Brock will come back stronger or if this is the beginning of the end for the Beast. Debate with fellow wrestling newsletter subscribers about what this means for WWE's future. Smash that like button if this attack shocked you. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter if you haven't already, because we're going to be covering every single development in this story as it unfolds. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know, because this is the kind of moment that defines eras. The Beast has fallen. But the war? The war is just beginning. And it's going to be glorious.